Hello and welcome. I'm here with Julien Parrott, who is a Torbay councillor and is UKIP's prospective mayoral councillor for May. Julien has recently published his manifesto, Blueprint for a Better Bay, and he's here with me today to answer some questions about it. Hello, Julien. In your Blueprint for a Better Bay, you say that you will be a mayor for all three towns. What do you mean by that?
I think one of the big problems that we've had is that the previous two mayors, and there have only been two mayors, both of which are Conservative, and interestingly, both are ex-estate agents. But I mean, I think the big question that we've been asked time and again is, why is it that they are always in Torquay? They don't really care about Brixham. They don't really care much about Paynton. They're really Torquay's mayor, aren't they? And my answer to that in my blueprint is to be very clear that the mayor for Torbay should be exactly that. He should be a mayor for all three towns. I will spend time, and I undertake to do this in the manifesto, spend time in all three towns, working with and alongside the populations there, but also I will be seen to be delivering fair decisions for everybody across the bay. So, for example, within the manifesto, I promise, as a sign of goodwill and good faith, to show that I will be giving back the £37,000 that the current mayor decided to withhold from Brixham, despite the government actually having paid it to Torbay Council for that express purpose.
You promised the electorate a referendum on the future of the mayoralty. What is behind that pledge?
Well, the reason that I've got that particular pledge here in the manifesto is because the public were the people who voted for the mayoral system in the first place back in 2004-05, and I've heard a lot from fellow councillors about how awful the system is and how it doesn't work and how it puts too much power into the hands of one person. So what I'm doing is saying, well, look, it's not actually down to us to decide whether we continue with the mayoral system. It's actually down to the people who voted for it. So given that we're stuck with it until 2019, because that's what the legislation says, during the next mayoralty, I will be putting it out to people that they have the opportunity to vote whether to continue with the mayoral system beyond 2019 or whether to get rid of it. And I think that's the right thing to do, because actually it's not us that should be making that decision. I personally support the mayoral system. I think it's a good system. It's just that we haven't happened to have very good examples of mayors so far, but I think I can do a lot better.
In the section Jobs, Jobs, Jobs of your blueprint, you talk about the new link road and how it removes the final excuse for the lack of economic revival in the bay. Can you be more specific?
Yes, I think the lack of a link road and the difficulties in journeys to the bay, certainly since the 70s, have been the constant default of politicians here. Oh, we could have done better if only we had a link road. Well, now we're going to have the link road, and so that excuse has disappeared once and for all. I would have expected personally to see a lot more activity already to attract whether public bodies or professional organisations, consultancy firms, those kind of things, to relocate down here, because there's plenty of that going on across the country. So we should have been selling the bay on that basis already. I think there's not been enough of that. We need to do that now. I'm the person to lead that, in my view, because my background is both in the public and the private sector. I've been a parliamentary lobbyist. I know the kinds of approaches that we can make to industry to actually invite them down to take really advantage of what is a wonderful place to live and work.
You have been a Torbay councillor for the last 8 years. Why is it that the council's finances are in apparent crisis?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. I mean, the obvious one that will be given by all candidates, I would expect, in the election is, of course, the ongoing government cuts and austerity measures, which have only this year, over past years, taken out somewhere in the region of £40 million from the budget. So there is a big amount there that's gone. But I also think there's a lot of mismanagement that's gone on under the previous two administrations, certainly, For example, we're failing this year to meet our income targets for parking, and the reason for that is quite simple. The Mayor made the unilateral decision that he was going to take away the camera car, so of course there's going to be a lack of revenue from that particular source, something that was already budgeted for. Now, I'm not arguing the pros and cons of a camera car for parking. What I am saying is you shouldn't be hamstringing your own budget by taking away the means of getting the income. Another example would be the annual strategic agreement that we have with the Care Trust to deliver care packages for the elderly here in the Bay. The problem we have there is that every year we merrily sign an agreement with the Care Trust to say that, of course, if you overspend, then we'll pick up the tab. We're the only people who actually have to do that. So, the taxpayer is the person who's picking up the tab for that any incompetence is there. So what kind of way is this to run the public finances? I think there's serious problems across the board, and they all need to be addressed, and they'll only really be addressed by a strong mayor, I think.
The blueprint has a lot of good common sense proposals that would benefit all of our communities. How would we be able to afford the changes that you propose, given the state of public finances in the Bay?
A much simpler question to answer, I suppose, in many ways. What we've done is we've actually been careful in constructing my manifesto to ensure that all of the proposals can be provided either at no cost or are cost neutral. So in other words, I would be committing as the new mayor to deliver all of these things without additional cost to the council taxpayer.
And finally, is there any specific message that you would like to send out to the electorate?
I guess the biggest point I would like to make is, if you're wondering whether you should take the chance on voting for UKIP in these elections, and particularly in the mayoral election, then my message to you is, please do. It is the only way to deliver real change. If you keep on doing what you always did, you'll always get what you always got.